Hello and welcome to Brutally Honest Level Review with your host, Nate FH, the Geometry Dash YouTube series where I give my brutally honest review of levels with no sugarcoating. And in this week's video, we will be reviewing Schming Summit by Aimbotter and more. Remember to subscribe for more level reviews and make sure to comment what level you want me to review and I'll pick one out for the next episode. Schming Summit is an insane demon created in 2.2 by Aimbotter and many others. This is a ski-themed collab which is not only themed in the decoration, but also in its gameplay. The main gimmick of the gameplay is that the level is made up of mostly downward slope gameplay. Themed gameplay and massive mega collabs like this are very rare to come by, as most are just basic flow slop or some other kind of standard gameplay. Later on in the video, Aimbotter will be joining to give some commentary on what hosting the level is like, so if you're interested then stay tuned. As stated before, the main gimmick with Schming Summit's gameplay is that it's mostly downward slopes, which leads to some really interesting uses of the spider and dash orbs, with multiple parts using dash orbs that stick the player to the slopes. This level also uses an unholy amount of spider orbs, so I hope you like spider orbs. All the gameplay flows well between each other, with no part that sticks out like a sore thumb, which is very impressive considering that most of the creators made their own gameplay. But still feels different without feeling like it was from a whole different level. Not all the gameplay is just downward slopes, there are a few exceptions to this, such as jam attacks, goobers, and aimbotter's parts. There's nothing particularly interesting about the first part. I have seen some people bring up concerns about the animation at the start not being skippable, but I never thought it was that big of a deal. As any well-balanced long level should do, the first part of the drop is the hardest part of the level. Most of the timers are ones that you just have to feel out. They aren't blind, but the structuring makes it a bit hard to pinpoint exactly where you need to hit these orbs. Next is Ice Rod and Galaxy's part, which is one of the more learny parts of the level. When I was first playing the UFO, it was a bit confusing, but once I did it once, I basically never died to it. Okay, so I was one of the people who playtested this, and the transition between this part and the next was really bad. As in, the level became Requiem for 1 second bad. From what I remember, you had to do 3 orb clicks while the transition was happening. Thankfully, it was fixed, so that's no longer an issue. Wait, I forgot who made this part, so let me check again. Aimbotter! Yeah, so spoiler alert, Aimbotter didn't just have 1 part, not even 2. This dude had 3. Tangent aside, Aimbotter's second part is the only part to have wave in it. While it's less than a second of wave, it's still there. I'm sure all the wave carry players are mauling right now. The last part before the break section is Maniac. While there's nothing too crazy about this part, if you suck at high CPS gameplay, then the last few seconds might give you some trouble. For the 2 break sections, I'm just gonna lump them together as one because they don't play that differently. I like how the break part is pretty easy except for 1 or 2 clicks. It's a good way to let the player relax before the second drop, which honestly doesn't get much harder. Assuming you want jumpiness or suck ass in nerf control, you shouldn't be dying past the break section much at all. The first part of the drop is Bram. The use of dash orbs here makes it pretty satisfying to play, especially the blue and the 2 black orbs. Although the hitboxes here aren't the most clear, so you might have a few "oh shit, that killed me" deaths. Thankfully, this part is really easy to learn, which can't be said about Hawks' part. This part not only has some weird clicks, but you also need to be ready for what these houses are hiding. All the clicks that are behind the houses are buffers, which makes it not as bad. The part after is my favorite part gameplay-wise. Shad did a great job with how the gameplay goes well with the music in a satisfying way. The part after is this ball and ship made by IMAX. The ball is mostly synced to the song with a ship that's pretty fun. Now, if you're not good at spider orbs, then you may not like Aimbotter's third part. It took me longer than I would like to admit to get the hang of, and really punishes the habit of buffering spider orbs. With every spider orb you need to hit, you need to click around in the middle. This is one of those parts where once you do it once, it becomes pretty easy, but still is the last part you'll probably die to. The last part of the gameplay is made by VLC. As a whole choose your own way gimmick with 2 really satisfying robot jumps at the end. There are 2 steps to getting the coin. First, you need to get the icon pass by jumping on the tops of trees in Aimbar's third part, and then using that to unlock the gate in VLC's part. Simple coin that takes a little bit of time to figure out how to get with some extra challenge in it, which is done very well. Hope you guys like gondola rides, because we're going back to the top as we never took in all the visuals of the trail. Each part of the level has a name chosen by the creators of each part, which can be seen on the end screen. Each part also has a sign that says what difficulty they are, with ski terminology such as double black diamond or blue square. I love how alive the level feels with all the small details that are sprinkled throughout the level. Such as this dude crashing into this cabin, this water tower toppling over, and Mega 77 dying in a snowmobile crash. The hell's with all the destruction and death? I thought this was a skiing themed level. Anyway, back to the peak with Aimbar's first part. Fun fact, there is a 0.1% chance that the gondola cabin will detach from the rail, causing you to die. This is the origin behind these 2 comments on the level. There's also a 2 to 5% chance that the title card will say cool intro. The way Ollie did his clouds in this part are really cool. People never make these sorts of clouds, and it's super cool to see them done here. The funny thing about this part is that most of the structures that are above the ground are only there to patch up skips. This part used to be really broken, and some of these structures cause some even funnier skips. The same thing happened with Ice Rod and Galaxy's part, but instead of new structures, most of the stuff that could have been skipped was just removed. Visually, this is one of my favorite. I love the clever use of these animated objects to make these fence things, which give a really nice pop of color against the snow and trees. The best part about Aimbotter's second part is this rad snowman. Low-key carries the part because of how cool he is. Wait a minute, that wasn't intended. Something I noticed about this part is that all the trees and most of the structuring in general is made up with just a hexagon object, which gives it a unique look. For being a skiing themed level, Aimbotter looks like certain death if you tried to ski on it with how jagged everything is. One thing this part does well is being easily readable with these structures and really strong trees. Like, damn, these ice blocks gotta be heavy. Next, we got the first of two break sections, that being Jam's Burger Shack. The Burger Shack is lively with all the icons moving around, and even Jam's expression when you steal one of their burgers. Lots of creativity, which adds a lot of personality to the part, which is something that Goober's part lacks. While the part isn't bad by any means, most of the other parts has something about them that makes them stand out from the other parts, such as the Burger Hut and Jam's part, or even Aimbotter's second part being mostly hexagons. The part still has its good aspects, like the subtle parallax in the ski lift and the color pulses. Bram's part also suffers from this to a minor degree, but the things I have more of an issue with are the low energy in this part. There's a stark contrast in the energy level between this and the parts that follow, which could have been helped by some effects to add impact. Hawks' part is when the parts start to get more interesting. Hawks' part incorporates cabins into the design, which is quite refreshing from all the snow the player has to slide their ass on. The effects in this part are also really nice. Alright, back to sliding your ass on snow. One little detail about this level that I'm not sure many people realize is that the sun starts to set during Shad's part. In the parts after, it becomes night, adding some subtle progression. The colors here are really cool. Most of the stuff has this purple hue to it, which looks really nice. If I had a star for every time the sun exploded in a level I'd reviewed, then I'd have 2 stars. Not a lot, but it's weird it's happened twice. Anyway, I'm a fan of the Auroras and IMAX's part. They have some really nice colors that you rarely get to see in any art level. Though I feel like this zoom out at the end could have some more going on to help add some impact to it. Rather than having the player faceplant into more snow, this part uses the trees as the main gameplay structures with the tree houses. The dynamic shadows in this part are also really nice. Finally, ending off with VLC's part. I like how this part uses a lot more red rather than going for more natural colors. And not to mention the awesome ski jumps you get to do with the big robot jumps. The ending sequence is a really good way to wrap up the whole level. Though it is a long end screen, which may annoy some people. Now a word from Aimbotter about hosting Schming and how that was.
Hosting Schming was definitely a unique experience that I don't think I will encounter again anytime soon, as I don't think I want to host a mega collab like this again. Now, that's not really to say that I disliked hosting, actually, far from it. Watching this level come together as a creator and as the host was some of the most fun that I've ever really had with this game, and I'm super fortunate to have made some incredible friends along the way, some of who I even went skiing with IRL. With that being said though, man, this level was stressful to host. Firstly, trying to fill in every part with creators who I was somewhat accustomed to and who I thought could match the style was definitely a hassle, so I ended up building a few of the parts myself. Secondly, and most stressfully, was definitely the merging, which was an absolute nightmare due to the unconventional gameplay and decoration standards. However, I'd say it was absolutely all worth it in the end. I'm completely blown away by the finished product, and I don't believe a single one of the 215 hours that I personally put into this was wasted. If you haven't hosted a mega collab before, I would recommend you give it a try. The process is definitely made easier if everybody knows each other, but meeting new people was also part of the fun. It was a blast.
Overall, Schming Summit is a really well done ski collab that goes farther than just themed deco, but themed gameplay. Hopefully this will start more collabs like this, as the gameplay also being themed kind of makes the level feel more like a solo than just a big collab. Overall, I'll be giving Schming Summit a 9 out of 10, but I will have to remove 30,000 points from the score for Aimbotter not letting me have a part. But I guess we'll add 30,000 points back for adding Fred. I'm just feeling extra nice today, so I'll take some pity on the score.